Good morning. It's a Monday, June 23rd, 2014. This is Tech Talk Today 13, and lucky number 13 at that. My name is Chris. Boy, I'm feeling not so lucky. I've had technical issues again this morning. I'm not sure what it is, but we're up, we're here, we're ready to rock, and I think we got a good show because I went through the weekend. I was watching the news all weekend, and I thought, what I'm going to do this week is on Monday morning, I'm going to grab the headlines that sort of came out through the weekend that I don't think get enough coverage, and the ones that particularly grab my interest, and ones that we could chat with our assembled, esteemed group of internet pundits here in the Mumble Room. Good morning, guys, and thanks for joining me on a Monday. Let's start with some rumors. Google I.O. comes up this week on Wednesday. I think we're going to be covering it live right here on Tech Talk Today. I don't know for sure about the timing. I'll double check after today's episode, but I think their keynote starts at 9 a.m. And if that's true, guess what? That's when Tech Talk Today starts. So we'll stream it live and cover it and do commentary and see if maybe we can't loop the Mumble Room in and get their opinion on the stream as we go too. All right, well, let's start with our first story that is kind of Google I.O. related. A lot of speculation about what's going to happen with Nexus devices. And a lot of that speculation has been focused on the Nexus phone. I'm a Nexus 5 owner, and I think the Nexus line is a great line of devices. But you also have to remember there's a line of tablets that is quite good, and there really hasn't been a lot of clear indications of what's going to happen next. Now, however, AndroidPolice.com is running a story that they think they've got exclusive details on the next Nexus tablet built by HTC, which is a win in my book. I think HTC makes great hardware. In fact, I think even back when I was silly enough to buy Windows mobile devices, when they were kind of like smartphones, but they weren't really smartphones, they were like huge clunkers. I think even back then I preferred HTC. So I'm even just that right there, even just knowing that the next Nexus might be based on an HTC device makes me excited. But what I also like to hear is an 8.9-inch screen. This is coming from multiple sources to Android Police. They say it could be available is early. Now, wait a minute. Is this old? This is current. Okay, they say it could be available as early as Q1. The tablet is internally referred to as the Nexus 9. Here's the details. 8.9-inch screen at 2048 by 1440, NVIDIA Logan 64-bit processor, 2 gigs of RAM, 16 or 32 gigabytes of internal storage options, 8-megapixel camera, aluminum zero-gap construction, stereo front-facing speakers, which HTC has become kind of familiar for, and about 418 grams in weight. And there will also be an LTE option available for anywhere between $60 to $100 more. We have some pictures of it, and Android Police has also done a rendered with an illuminated display. It looks pretty sweet, although I don't see speakers in their version. So here's our rough pricing estimates. The tablet is expected to start at $399 for the 16-gigabyte version, with a step up to 32 gigs costing $499. You throw in LTE, you could be looking at a device that runs almost $600 for an 8.9-inch tablet. So unspecified date, and there we go, Q4. I think they had a mistype up there earlier. Q4 2014. They say they do not expect this to be announced at I.O., though. And there's also some discussions around maybe this will be one of the first Google Silver devices. So this is all kind of just based on rumors and speculation from Android Police. I don't know, though. I think the Nexus 7 is a pretty good tablet. What say you, Mumble Room? Would you be curious in a Nexus tablet that's about 9 inches?
I'd be curious about it. I do know that I want my next phone to be a Nexus 5. I have less than a month for that. But, yeah, I think it'd be interesting just to at least look at.
What about that price, though? And that's iPad prices. That's iPad prices.
Yeah, you can actually get some ultra portables for that much.
Yeah.
Too, so
yeah, you could get a laptop for that price. Not a great laptop, but you could get a laptop for that price.
My laptop retails for $400. So
well, yeah. That is a little high. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have a Nexus 5, but when it comes down to a tablet, I chose the iPad. I even gave away my Nexus 7. I prefer the iPad so much. I gave it to my grandpa.
I have a Dell Venue 8, and it's pretty much stock Android, and it does great. What, 160?
I just don't feel like the Android apps on tablet justify that price point.
No.
Well, they're claiming a 2048 by 1440 screen resolution.
I like that. I mean, I thought the Nexus 7, there's a lot of things I did like about it, but fundamentally for me, the battery issues and with kids and stuff, I just had to get rid of it.
But
So if they fix that,
that's the same resolution I have on my Dell Venue 8. So it was only $160. So it was way cheaper than this. I don't know what the premium is on the Nexus devices, but yeah, that just seems like a little steep.
Wait, are you talking about a tablet that has 2048 by 1440 screen res?
yeah,
Correct.
yeah. I know, it's nice. It's and it's 281 ppi, so it's a pretty good resolution. I mean, that's Retina, right? That would technically be Retina. So yeah, I definitely would check it out. If those prices came down, I think it'd be a slam dunk. At the higher prices, maybe one of the reasons this thing's going to be out later in the year, because if you look at this article, I mean, these guys have already got pictures of it and stuff like that, and like marketing flyers for it. Maybe the reason why it's not coming out is we're about to hear about some new stuff for tablets at Google I/O this week, and maybe they're about to make another push on tablets and make it more worth the higher price point on Android. Like if Google could bring something out to Android that would make developers refresh their apps and actually make them tablet optimized and look good, make them take advantage of that larger screen real estate more, and there are some that do. But if we saw a big push to that to really add value, then maybe when this thing came out in Christmas time, if all that stuff's been in place and it ships with that version of Android, maybe it could work. It doesn't, because I'm looking at this article. This article doesn't say what version of Android it ships with. Interesting that it's a 4:3 aspect ratio too, right? I mean, this thing's really in a lot of ways like on iPad mini. 4:3 aspect ratio is not too common on an Android device. Most of them are 16:9. I don't know, I just find the whole thing kind of interesting. Next headline. This one, it's got the sysadmin in me all upset. You guys, damn it. If you're out there and you're responsible for some of this, shame on you. Shame on you. I'm kidding. I understand, baby. I don't hate. 300,000 sites are still vulnerable to Heartbleed. This is according to eradasec.com. This is a blog where since Heartbleed broke, these guys have been doing wide scans of the net. They're just doing standard scans in port 443. Nothing too fancy, just your average stuff. They say a month after Heartbleed, we found that only 300,000 systems had been patched. Or actually were unpatched. So a month after Heartbleed, they went from 600,000 systems to 300,000 systems remaining unpatched. Okay. Now, 2 months after that point, it's still the same essentially amount of machines that are unpatched. What their findings are here is that essentially after Heartbleed, about half of the vulnerable systems they detected were patched right away. Since then, the systems that hadn't been patched still are not patched. They say it indicates that people have stopped even trying to patch. They said we should see a slow decrease over the next decade as older systems are slowly replaced. Even a decade now from though, I still expect, this is the author, to find some of these systems, maybe thousands, including critical ones, still vulnerable. So he's going to scan again next month, and then he's going to scan again at the 6-month mark, and then scan once more at the yearly mark and report back on his progress. So I'm going to follow this guy's blog because I find this is one of these things, you guys, that systems like Core OS are trying to solve, where we have this sysadmin paralysis where they can't patch either because of corporate structures, and authorizing the downtime just requires too many people putting their butts on the line, or the systems are there's too much movement and they can't take a minute to fix things. There's so many reasons why systems out there on the internet run vulnerable. But it's a damn shame, and if any of these places are taking people's money, then I almost think it's criminal. So there you go, 300,000 websites still vulnerable to Heartbleed 2 months after the whole craptastic thing happened, which is about the same amount that was a month after it happened. All right, so that's your bad news. How about a little good news for you guys? You ever heard of SpringSeed? Version 2.0 just hit the web today. And this is an open source note-taking app that's currently only available for Linux. It offers a minimalistic UI for writing and storing and categorizing your notes. But here's the fun part. Version 2.0, the first stable update since February, has refreshed the application's UI with a darker and more angular look. The light color scheme and custom window frames of version 1.1 have been replaced by a dark sidebar with large typography, native window borders, and a boxier, flatter design with colorful accents. And I think it looks pretty damn good. So if you haven't tried out SpringSeed, got a link to it in the show notes. A good note-taking application for Linux. And I wouldn't be too surprised the way the developers have been talking. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it'll show up somewhere else. Or something like it will. Hey, before we go on, I want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/today. That's how you can support the Tech Talk Today show and really support the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. Last week we had a pretty crazy week, and it was great to know we had this platform, this support, this infrastructure here from our audience. I actually was sort of the only thing that really kept us going. So I really appreciate your support over at patreon.com/today. And the reason why we're doing this is a system to help us differentiate our various income sources. So that way we're not dependent on any one particular model. Maybe it's only sponsor income. Or, for example, we were very dependent for quite a while on Amazon affiliate. And then that dropped out. And then we were scrambling for a long time. And we don't want to be in that position ever again because we don't want to have to go away. We're in this for the long haul. And I want to make sure that we can stay genuine and stay true to our format that we have. And one of the ways I want to accomplish that is through crowdfunding. That way we're responsible to our managers, to our bosses, and that's our audience. And you can become our boss over at patreon.com/today. We've got some milestones there, some suggested pledge levels that will help out. One pledge level is essentially your vote to keep Tech Talk Today on the air. And then the various other pledge levels go towards investing in the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. And really all of the revenue made here on the Patreon page is put into the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. We're pairing these funding goals, these milestones with events in the show. So when things happen that fund the Jupiter Broadcasting Network at a certain level, we'll celebrate right here in the show. And I have a lot of really fun ideas and some extra growth, some things we need to work on that involve equipment, like a go bag. I want to assemble a ready to go bag full of, everything we need, like a camera, a light shade, a reflector, the microphones, all that stuff ready to go. So that when we say, hey, let's do Tech Talk Today from this place, or let's do Linux Unplugged from this place, because one of the things I want to do is I want to start reaching out to companies in the Washington area that run Linux and say, hey, can we come crash at your facility, hang out, see how you guys use Linux, and maybe broadcast a show from there. But right now it's completely impractical because I would have to take down the studio, and we just have so many damn shows now that would essentially mean taking one show off the air for a week. So what I want to do is I want to be able to assemble a go bag that could also kind of act as like backup when the equipment here fails, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And I think this is something, as an example, once we know we have some money that we can spend on projects, we could accomplish things like that and then introduce a whole new sort of aspect to our shows, especially a show like Tech Talk Today, where we can have some fun with a daily format that's just completely not even available to us. And it's something we honestly just don't have the runway to experiment with right now. It's too dangerous. It's too risky to just go spend a couple $1,000s on a setup like that. That would be crazy. But it's something we need to do. It's an area of growth that the network needs to strive for. It's a goal that the network needs to set. It's something we can introduce to make the shows even better. And you can help us get there by going to patreon.com/today. And I'm going to be supplying some updates on the network and on the show to our patrons, exclusive videos for those of you who pledge. You'll get access to those. And if everything works out, depending on technical difficulties here in the studio, I should have one up later this afternoon. Patreon.com/today. Help support the Jupiter Broadcasting Network and keep Tech Talk Today on the air. We really appreciate it. Thank you to all 186 patrons as I record this episode. Okay, I got one more Linux story, and then I want to talk a little Bitcoin with you guys. So, hey, anybody in the Mumble Room an Opera user? Anybody out there? Is this dead to everybody?
Where's Q5 sits when you need him?
Yeah, Q5 does Opera, right. What about you, Poby?
I tried, last time I tried Opera was on a Palm PDA.
Oh, no!
And I saw the post today about that they've made a new version available for Linux.
Back on Linux.
Seg faults as soon as I open it. So
oh, no, really?
I'm a good guy. I filed a bug upstream.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean...
I keep it installed as a backup browser, but I just didn't find anything compelling.
Yeah, that's kind of how I do it, too. I mean, so, okay, this was on a Monday blog post. Here's what I liked about this announcement from Opera. So they're coming back. They're bringing a lot of the features that they've been working on the Windows version over to the Linux version, and here's the reason. And this is the part I like. Many of us, this is a quote from the Opera blog, at Opera, use Linux as our primary platform. It's great to be able to try out the newest developments of Opera on Linux once again. Adding Linux to our browser line fulfills an important part of Opera's vision to shape an open, connected world. We want everyone to have fast and safe access to the web. Adding Linux opens up that possibility to more machines running the open source operating system. I, for one, think that's great. I think it's great. I don't use Opera that much, and I did do an app pick recently on LAS that is essentially Opera wrapped up in Qt5 or Qt5. and you guys can check that out. It's in like, I don't know. I don't even remember the name of it, but it's out there. So yeah, welcome back, Opera guys. We like having you here. Okay, guys. Can I talk about Bitcoin a little bit? Something kind of big happened last night, and it's actually starting to get coverage now. You can never really quite tell when somebody tries to do something on a Sunday. But Popey's friend, founder of the X Prize, I'm sure they're buddies now, wrote an incredible post on Google Plus about how Bitcoin is moving into what he calls its very disruptive phase. So you might be familiar with the founder of X Prize. His name is I don't want to butcher his name. I'm always gonna I'm so bad with names. I'll get the pronunciation. Anybody know how to pronounce the founder of the X Prize's name? It's like
Peter.
No, his last name.
Oh.
It's like a Diamonds or something like that. I didn't want to get it wrong. I was gonna look it up. It's like Diamandis or something. Diamandis. Okay. All right. So he's a geek. He's an American engineer, a physician, an entrepreneur. He's best known for the founder and chairman of the X Prize Foundation, the co-founder of the chairman of the Singularity University, and the co-author of the New York Times bestseller, Abundance, the Future is Better Than You Think. He's also the former CEO and co-founder of Zero Gravity Corporation, the co-founder and vice chairman of Space Adventures Limited, and the founder and chairman of the Rocket Racing League, the co-founder of the International Space University, the co-founder of Planetary Resources, the founder of Students for Exploration and Development of Space, and the vice chairman and co-founder of Human Longevity, Inc. So he's got some credentials. He's also a Harvard graduate, et cetera, and a doctor. I think I mentioned that. So he wrote about Bitcoin on his Google Plus blog, which he calls it his blog. And boy, did he have a few things to say. So he says that Bitcoin is following the 6 Ds. And he says, if you followed my work or participated in my Abundance 360 Summit, you know and understand that I teach and track exponential technologies using my 6 Ds approach, he says. He says, looking for user interface moments is when things really go big. Bitcoin is following the 6 Ds and is on a path to go from deceptive to disruptive over the next 1 to 3 years. So he says, here's his case. He says, Bitcoin is digitized, obviously. It's digitized money. So that's phase number 1. Number 2 is deceptive. Bitcoin software was released to the public in 2009. For the first few years, has been growing in a deceptive phase. Few heard about it, few used it, and few accepted it. And of course, he goes into more detail in his G Plus post. Number 3 is the phase he thinks it's entering right now. Disruptive. Described by my friend Barry Silbert, founder of Second Market, Bitcoin is about to enter its disruptive phase where where the rate of acceptance and use will explode, as will its value. After that, it goes into the dematerializing phase. Yes, this is a 4th phase, where Bitcoin is eliminating or dematerializing the use of physical money or even credit cards. After that, it goes into the demonetizing phase. Bitcoin eliminates the middleman, banks, lawyers, exchanges, and demonetizes the cost of transactions. No fees. It makes it cheaper to use and spread and share money. Number 6 is a big one. This is the huge one. This is not saying it's here yet. Would be the 6th phase, and he says right now it's in the 3rd phase. 6th phase is democratizing. Bitcoin makes access to capital available to everyone where there are no banks, no ATMs, and no credit card suppliers. Ultimately, as we move over the next 6 years to a world of 7 billion digitally connected humans, Bitcoin makes currency available to anyone with a connection to the internet. He says Bitcoin is evolving fast and it will soon be disruptive, so at phase 3. Now, this is interesting to me because this guy, we just talked about his credentials, ton of cred. He's got a long history of identifying technology that's about to explode and getting in on that technology and sort of riding it, obviously. I mean, he's kind of famous for that. And one of the other things that just happened recently is there's been a sort of another collection of positive Bitcoin news. And Bitcoin just seems to keep getting good news and then bad news and then things happen. And I really think it's getting to the point now where you can't follow what's happening in Bitcoin just by looking at the price. I think it's become much more than that. And so anyways,
Sounds like it's just become like any commodity. I mean, you can't follow gold by just looking at the price. You have to know what's going on.
Yeah, very true. Oil. Very true. Very true. I think Peter Diamandis, or however you say his name, I think him talking about Bitcoin entering a disruptive phase, the reason why that's a big deal is there's a certain sector of the technology industry, that really follows what he says. And it sort of adds a layer of credibility to the currency. And this is sort of an interesting thing because right now, and he talks about this in his blog post, which I have linked in the show notes, Bitcoin has been spending the last, year or so really getting the attention of venture capitalists, And it started with like sort of people just dipping their toes in and putting a couple million in. And then, 20 million goes to BitPay. And then all of a sudden we're talking 25, 30 million. And now it's getting to be big dollars. And now here he is coming in saying, hey, this is legit. And it's about to get disruptive. Well, those guys in the Valley, they start hearing the word disruptive and they can't help themselves but start drilling at the mouth.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think this could be, I think it's still going to go up and down. But the remainder of 2014, Bitcoin's still going to be quite relevant. And I think as the end of 2014 gets closer, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin a lot more. As that price starts to get closer to $1,000, if that does happen, you guys just wait and see. Pretty soon, all of the rest of the tech press will be talking about Bitcoin incessantly. It goes through cycles like this. And I think we are at the beginning of potentially, now it could still be deflated. There could be something that happens that can take it out at the knees. But I think we are at the beginning of another big long bubble. It's interesting time. So there you go. That's my little Bitcoin analysis for the week. Huh? How do you like that? Everybody go invest and then just donate a little bit to me when you get Bitcoin rich, okay? And if you lose all your Bitcoin money, remember Chris told you not to invest, okay? It's not my fault. Not my fault. Okay, I want to wrap us up with the subreddit, techtalktoday.reddit.com. Please go over there and contribute to the show. We had some great submissions over the weekend, so thank you to everybody who went over to Tech Talk Today and sent in what you want to see covered in the show. It's also a great way to interact and give us your feedback. I got threads in there for each episode. You can give us your take, and we're starting to get a collection of Google I.O. rumor roundups in there. Thanks to Bayer, who put that in there, and also thanks to Corky, putting a ton of stuff in the subreddit over the weekend. And Nani Mouse, I see you've put some stuff in there. And Josh put some stuff in there, too. Thanks, Josh. You guys rock. And you can go contribute over at techtalktoday.reddit.com. You can also email the show today at jupiterbroadcasting.com or go over to Jupiter Broadcasting, click the contact link, and choose Tech Talk Today from the drop-down, and let me hear your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think. And join us on Wednesday. I mean, join us every day, Monday through Thursday. But specifically, if you've got some thoughts on Google I.O. or you want to participate in our live coverage of Google I.O., my caveat there is I haven't looked at the keynote time. So assuming the keynote starts at 9 a.m., we'll be covering it live right here on Tech Talk Today, and you can participate in that conversation by joining our Mumble Room, which you can get the info for that when you join us at jblive.tv Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, jblive.tv. Okay, I'm going to leave us with a classic commercial, and you guys know me. I love the tech stuff. I do, but there's one thing that's maybe even a little closer to my heart, and that's the Flintstones. Naturally, that's the Flintstones. And there's no better way to sell you something than with cartoons.
They sure work hard, don't they, Barney?
Yeah? I hate to see them work so hard.
Yeah, me too. Let's go around back where we can't see them.
Gee, we ought to do something, Fred.
Okay? How's about taking a nap?
Hey, I got a better idea. Let's take a Winston break.
That's it! Winston is the one filter cigarette that delivers flavor 20 times a pack. Winston's got that filter blend.
Yeah, Fred. Filter blend makes the big taste difference, and only Winston has it up front where it counts. Here, ahead of the pure white filter. Winston packs rich tobaccos specially selected and specially processed for good flavor in filter smoking.
Yeah, Barney, Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.